Masterworks Trilogy is an exploration of the intersections between classical and jazz piano. Over the last 3 years, it's enabled me to carry on a conversation with my favorite composers.
First album of the Masterworks Trilogy really was inspired by Debussy and Ravel. And those two guys wrote music unlike anyone has ever written. And the second one was Johann Sebastian Bach, who wrote music at the end of an era, better than anybody in that era. But when I came to try to decide who to pick for the third album, I went back to music that I had played in high school and college, to Chopin. And I went through all the music that I hadn't touched in 30 years that was hidden in my library underneath all sorts of other books, and discovered, surprising to me, how many rules he broke and how many sounds that he came up with in his sudden key changes and his unusual chord substitutions that no one else had done. That if he had something to say in 34 seconds, he would just say it that quickly. And I tried to find, because of my failing health, some sound in there of his failing health, and I couldn't. And then I read the writings, especially of George Sand, imagined her sitting underneath his piano, and she talked constantly about his fragile innocence and how he needed an angel to take care of him. You could hear in his music reflecting that care and that love and that passion. And for the first time I realized he wasn't writing about his illness, he wasn't writing about his struggles, he was writing about his freedom from those things, about transcendence. I've struggled with a declining illness since 9/11 until 2008, 2009, when I found out that I had A1AD. I worked on the pile, I worked behind it, and I did for weeks volunteer work that supplied the guys, the welders and the firemen who were working on the pile. And I, like everyone else, only wore my mask to get past the guards that were guarding the whole area, and I would put it on my head because it was so hard to do any work with a mask on. And so, like everyone else that I know who was there, developed lung problems, and thought that what was happening to me was because of that and because of asthma that I thought I was developing. And then I realized I actually had a genetic disorder, A1AD, that was destroying my lungs. And I had to get rid of stress, change everything about my life, and that's when I stopped going to the city so much and rearranged all of my priorities to deal with A1AD. And it's another reason why trying to get this music out, as long as I can still get the music out, is something that I want to do.
Kenny has engineered some of my best albums, from old school funk to big band to these intimate solo piano recordings.
When Tobin comes in, he really knows what he wants to do with the song. He comes in very prepared, especially dynamically speaking. He knows where he wants the peaks and valleys of the songs to lie, where it should get more energetic and when it should cool out. One of the funnest parts about working with Tobin is actually getting to experience his diverse musical knowledge. Specifically on this past record, he really got to bring some jazz elements into the romantic period of Chopin and really meld the two together. Not only is Tobin extremely diverse as a musician, but he's also a very prolific writer and composer. I know in the past he's actually done musicals, and he's produced even rock bands. About a year ago, he actually gave me this mug, which has all of his albums on it. And there's about 20 albums on here. And I know I've worked on at least, over the past 4 years, 8 of these albums that I can count. At least, like I said. And some of these records are actually double albums. So extremely prolific writer. It's always a lot of fun working with Tobin, and I'm excited to see what he brings in next, the next project that we get to work on together.